You ever been hit over the head with a Bible story? That's what it felt like when I was growing up and we would read the Bible stories, and they would say, this is what you should be doing. See, this is how you should live. Yeah, I felt like I was hit over the head with it. But once I started learning unity principles and I started looking at these Bible stories through a metaphysical lens, I found so much beauty and a wealth of practical information that helps me today to discover the Christ within. In the Bible book of Ruth, it tells the story of Naomi, who was married, had 2 sons, but a famine came upon the land, and her husband said, we've got to move to Moab. There's plenty of food over there. And they did that, but then the husband died. So Naomi told her 2 sons, go take wives from these Moabite women. And they did. One of her sons married Ruth, and the other married Orpah. But unfortunately, then the sons died. So this left Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah as 3 single women trying to fend for themselves. And in that day and time, that was a very dire situation. So Naomi urged her daughter-in-laws, go back to the houses of your fathers. They'll take care of you. And at first, Ruth and Orpah refused. They said, no, we're going to stay with you. But Naomi kept insisting, and Orpah finally gave in. She returned to the house of her father. But Ruth, she said, where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. So Ruth and Naomi returned to Naomi's homeland, where Ruth worked the fields. And a rich man named Boaz noticed what a good worker Ruth was and how devoted she was to her mother-in-law. And he ended up marrying Ruth. And they had a son named Obed, who was an ancestor of Jesus. So looking at this story literally, you might say it tells you to be a good wife. Do what your father says. Do what your husband says. Do what your husband's family says. But when you look at it through a metaphysical lens, the rule of thumb in reading all the Bible stories is that if it speaks of a male in the story, that refers to our thinking nature. And if it refers to a woman, that refers to our feeling nature. So in this story, Ruth and Boaz getting together, the thinking nature and the feeling nature getting together, gave birth to the Christ, eventually down the line. So when we can merge our thinking nature and our feeling nature, we give birth to the Christ within. There are other metaphysical lessons in this story as well. When Naomi's husband said we have to go to Moab for food because there's a famine, in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, we are told that Moab refers to the physical world. So if we have any kind of a situation where we're in lack, if we turn to the physical world and do everything we can there, things may work out for a while. But it's when you return to your source, when Naomi returned to her homeland, that the true beauty unfolded, her highest good unfolded. So when we allow our thinking nature, our feeling nature to give birth to the Christ within, when we, instead of looking to the physical world, look to the spiritual world, look to our source for answers, that is when we experience our highest and best.